Is marriage still worth it? That's the question. I believe it is, but let's be honest, you better know how to navigate it. I'll say right up front that to me, I know there's guys who get married to their sweetheart or meet a woman, midlife and get married and stay married and they don't have any interest in having children. To me, marriage is for children. People who get married, don't want to have kids, awesome, good for you. To me, the whole point of it is to sort of grab hands and pull together and produce a family and raise children, and to have that experience, because it's wonderful. I mean, there's parts of it that are just wonderful. It's not all just backbreaking work. I mean, it's really, it's deep. Like, it's the highest high and the lowest low. But I think the marriage thing would go a lot smoother if some of the modern landmines that exist were better understood. So let's look at those. What are they?
For the last 25 years or more, young men have heard a lot of crazy advice. Almost none of it good, most of it harmful. The trend was always toward greater acceptance of effeminacy. Look around you. How's that working in your world? The simple fact is there are problems only men can solve. That means the world is waiting for you to step up and get your shit together. Your reward is a life of meaning and achievement beyond anything you currently imagine, including wealth, friendships, female attention, respect. There's no currency of greater value. I set off to explore the world when I was 24 years old, and I haven't been off the road since. I've been lucky. I'm a 4-time national champion. I studied medicine with a mentor in the forest of Central America and got hired at top hospitals like Cleveland Clinic. I went to sea with a mentor, built my own boat, and lived on the water for 5 years, all because of mentors. When I needed mechanical skills, I found a mentor. When I became a writer for a major publisher, I hired mentors, selling $40 million in under 3 years. Because mentors give you the ultimate edge, and you're going to need it. If you're young, your biggest obstacles are confusion, distraction, and inexperience. Fortunately, there are solutions that give you power to move forward with clarity and focus. That's why you need to know about Young Men's Mentoring for the 2020s. Young Men's Mentoring for the 2020s is a one-on-one and group coaching mentorship where you and I and a couple of guys talk about things important to you. I even host live events at my Caribbean headquarters and my jungle hideout in Guatemala, where I lived for 10 years to study ancient healing practices. Each week I have a story and a lesson to share, but you get priority to ask me anything. It could be about family, money, an idea you have for your life or business, women and the dangers of dealing with young women today. Each month you'll hear from an expert who will talk about the fast path to things like financial security, business development, so you can learn and earn from anywhere. This is the stage in your life where you choose whether you're going to be a man or continue on your path to slavery. If you're seeing this message, you can count yourself lucky, but only if you take action. You will not get a better opportunity in life than the one right in front of you right now today. Join Young Men's Mentoring for 1 month for just $49, and I'll see you on the inside.
Number one, if you're going to get married to a woman and have a family, there is one thing and one thing for sure beyond all others that has to be present if that's going to work out long term, right? And you want it to work out long term. It takes 15, 18 years to get your kid ready, right, to go out and take on the world. The psychology that has to be present for a female in a marriage with children is she has to accept putting herself after other people. And this is not the case. This is not the case today, or let's just say you are living in a zeitgeist. If you're a young man, you need to understand you're living in a cultural moment in history where throughout tens of thousands of years, right, women were effectively baby factories, making sure the genes got passed on, etc. They were pregnant constantly, of course, because they needed to be, right, or at least the perception was at that time. Survival depends on this. Well, they conquered that. So all throughout evolution, right, you're wired, and certainly your psychology is wired for a certain relationship to women. They're not that interested in that relationship. And it's modern comfort, modern wealth, modern industry and convenience and all the rest that has done that. So there is an irony there. The irony, of course, is that a good portion of why the ladies are freed up to do what they wish and live the way they do today and complain about, right, and blow up the family and all the rest, is of course because a whole lot of men put that stuff together, no doubt. I mean, if you think about it, if you look at it, like obviously if you leave it up to women, they'll say, no thank you, we're not getting married. Obviously. The whole thing works if she agrees to play a supporting role. That's it. And what that means is, not that you get a free ride if you're a guy, but that you better be playing your role as well. And your role is to make sure that the ship doesn't end up on the rocks and that you push hard, right? The whole thing has to go, it has to move. Your kids need to learn, you need to continue to make money. You gotta solve problems constantly, day after day, and make sure that you're driving, that you're actually driving, that you're not riding along on her hard work, right? And so, to be fair to the women, if she accepts this role, like psychologically adjusts and says, yes, I understand, like my kid has to come first, my husband has to come first, everybody else needs to come before me, and I'll play that role and do it with dignity and pride and all the rest, then the family has a very good chance. If she is not agreeable to that position, I've never seen it work. I just never seen it work, right? You hear women talk about, well, I just lost my mojo, so I just had to leave my family and then, go find myself, or right, this kind of thing. It's like, that's fine, but once you have children, you don't get that option. You can't do that, right? And so, because it fucks up everything in society. Men are miserable, women are miserable, the kids are miserable, like everybody's miserable. So, is marriage worth it? Well, that's the biggest thing that you have to be aware of and to understand and to know about. How you solve it is up to you, but I think it can work and it can be productive, right? It can be very, very beneficial to the people who agree to sort of play by those rules. So you have to decide if you're gonna play by those rules. You probably shouldn't be married unless you've decided consciously, like, no, we're gonna play by these rules, right? And have that discussion. If you're serious with a woman, have that discussion with her. If you're having fun with her, have fun with her, right? But understand where, right? Be careful, like don't blow up your life. So marriage is worth it. That's my 2 cents. I think navigating the moment that women are in is a tough one. That's why we talk about this on this channel, is make sure you understand the particular issues that are relevant to your time in history. What's happening between men and women is a new thing from the standpoint of evolution, from the standpoint of how it's always been done. And so there's some deep psychological wires crossed on this topic for a lot of people. You can see it, the data speaks for itself, right? If you get married, your chance of getting a divorce is over 50%. And it's over 70% likely that she's the one asking for it. Now, to me, those numbers are wildly conservative. I think it's gotta be much, much higher. Certainly in my experience, I see it all around me. So think it through, right? These are the kind of things we talk about on the channel. I have a group coaching call that I do once a week for young men. If you're interested in how mentors really help make my life what it is today, what is my life today? Well, I'm in my 50s, early 50s. I never had a regular job. I never sat in an office, at least not till recently when I made a decision that it was time to do that. I didn't give up a big portion of my youth for money, in the pursuit of money. I decided that I wasn't gonna do that. I decided that I was gonna have an adventure, and by God, I had it. And you can do it. In fact, you have to do it. You have to follow the thing that matters most and then focus on how you're gonna make money out of that. And that's a big lesson that we talk about, right? The spiritual journey of the human animal requires you to have this mythological experience. It requires you to go out and chase your hero quest and find out what matters to you and find out what you're willing to fight and die for, and like go build a house in the forest. Like, I did all that stuff. And my message to young men is that if you have a mentor, you can go further with a mentor in 1 year than you can in regular societally approved channels of learning in 10. You can go to get an MBA, a PhD or whatever, or you can start a business, right? You go work for 40 years or 30 years and try to save up enough money where you go buy a sailboat and sail over the horizon and they live happily ever after kind of thing. Or you can do that in your 20s, right? And just live close to the bone and have the experiences that you can have when you're young and you can have them. I did all of this because I had mentors. I did the things that I did in my 20s, 30s, and 40s because I had learned how to operate in different areas of life sufficient to keep myself going. Not on an economic quest, but on a kind of spiritual, like, let's see what's out there for me kind of quest. In any case, I'd like to share this with you. If you're interested in joining the group coaching calls, you should click the link below. That will take you to a short, free book. It will really set your mind in the right frame to understand how much there is that a mentor can show you. I've outlined 10 core competencies. I have 10 different areas that if you focus on learning something, you don't have to be the best in them. You won't be, right? But if you focus on learning something in each of these 10 areas, you almost can't not succeed. You almost can't not have a great life. If you know this and you have a mentor to guide you week after week, well then, right, you stand to go very far. You stand to learn the kind of things that end up giving you a life well lived. So check it out. It's my Young Men's Mentoring. Get your free download. Check out the group coaching calls that we do once a week, and I'll talk to you on the inside. That's enough out of me. I'll be back with more good stuff.